गंधार्विक गिरिधारी श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शुत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज शिल गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शुत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शुत शिशुमार भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज शिल प्रभुपार की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शुत शिशुमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शुत शिशुमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपार की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्ट महाभगवत शिल गोक्षरस बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्ट शिल सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानु गौरिय गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शौर गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम चय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विदग्ध गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जय। श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। द Sanmodan Bhashya of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki jai. The Vivritti of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's Gitavali and Bhajana-rahasya ki jai. Jai Śrī Chaitanya Śikṣāṣṭaka ki jai. Śrī Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Samagat Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hari Hari Bo. And today's also, interestingly, the appearance day of Shankaracharya. So, Jai Mahadev ki Jai. And also appearance day of Srila Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj. So, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj ki Jai. All right, we will do the Mangalacharan and then begin. Wait, let me open it up. ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। श्रीसिद्धान्तसरस्वतीति विदितो गौरीयगुर्वन्वये भातो भानुरिव प्रभात गगने योगोरसङ्कीर्तनाय मायावारतिमिङ्गिलोदरगतान् उद्धृत्य जीवानिमान् कृष्णप्रेमसुधाब्धिकाहनसुखं प्रदात् प्रभुं तं भजे वन्दे भक्तिविनोदं श्रीगौरशक्तिस्वरूपकम् भक्तिशास्त्रज्ञसम्राजं राधारससुधानिधिम् नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवराय ते श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वृषभानुसुतान्वितवामतनुं यमुनातटनागरनन्दसुतं मुरलीकलगीतविनोरपरं भज गोद्रुमकाननकुञ्जविदुम्। Smara Gaura Gadadhara Kelikalam Bhava Gaura Gadadhara Pakshachara Shrinu Gaura Gadadhara Charukatang Bhaja Godruma Kanana Kunja Vidum Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Devi Tvang Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakama Ditaranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Saruparaya Sangha Harsha Shesha Ghoshanam Shikshanashtakakya Krishna Kirtanaika Poshanam Prema Nama Matra Vishvajivanaika Sangharam Prema Dhama Devameva Naumi Gaura Sundaram Premor Harsheryo Dainyarti Mishritam Lapitangora Chandrasya Bhagyavarbhir Nishevyate Prabhur Shikshashtak Shlok Jay Pore Shune Krishne Prema Bhakti Tar Bare Dine Dine. Whoever reads or hears the Lord's Shikshashtak verses, that person's prem bhakti for Krishna increases day by day. For that person, whoever reads or hears the Lord's Shikshashtak verses. All right, so Hari Bol, everybody. Dandavat Pranams. Who is there? Dandavat Pranams, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Rukmini Didi, Nitai Mukeshji, Guru Nishta Prabhu, and Ganga Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Indira Mataji, and whoever else is watching right now on YouTube and Facebook. If you're at a comment, I'll see your name. Dandavat Pranams, thank you so much for joining, and also pranams to all devotees watching in the future. All right, so we are continuing our program reading the verses of Shikṣāṣṭaka. We're still on verse 1. Today we'll be reading Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's verses from Bhajana-rahasya. I think in here it's called, it says Praman Shlokavali. And as we know, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, his Bhajana-rahasya is originally going to be titled the Praman Mala. And so like the, yeah. And so then here it says the Praman Shlokavali. So, interesting. Okay. And then after that, we'll see if we have any extra time. If we have extra time, then we'll read Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Goswami Maharaj's explanation of the first verse from Golden Volcano of Divine Love. But first, before we begin, and then at the end, like we did yesterday, I'm going to go through the Srila Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's Bengali commentary. Yesterday, we read half of it, and today we'll read the other half. This is actually the part of the program that I am most excited about. It's, I think this is probably the best way to learn how to read Bengali. Is, I mean, this is how I learned, at least. It was I would get Reza the Harmonist articles that were, translated into English, and then I'd get the original Bengali, and then I would go through and try to figure out, I'd see the translation and then I'd look at the Bengali and then try to figure out how they, I try to figure out the meaning of the Bengali according to the English. And I just kept on doing that. After a few articles, I started to get it. Like that, I'd see all the patterns and everything. And then after that, uh, Amal Krishna Prabhu asked me to translate a letter, and I was able to do it. I mean, I'm not sure how good my translation was, but that was like really that was the main thing that um, got me started, like, yeah, with comprehending everything. Um, and also, it's very helpful, even if you're not able to understand everything or understand anything, just getting familiar with the sounds, and like the words, and you'll start to hear words again and again, and then you'll start to wonder, "Oh, I wonder what that word means, the one that I keep on hearing over and over again." And then you'll look at it, and then slowly, even subconsciously, the words will start to become familiar to you. And then when you start to actually learn them, you've already like heard it so many times, and then you're like, ah, okay, that's what that word means. And then that, I don't know, I think that's a really effective way to learn Bengali, is just hearing it and then also looking at the translation and trying to figure out what the Bengali means. Yeah. So we'll do that at the end of the program after Jaidwani, for if anybody needs to go. Okay. Mm. Um, yeah, and the Gemini translation was surprisingly good, like very accurate. I looked at it all this morning, and yeah, I was very impressed. Okay, so Bengali Shikṣāṣṭaka Verse One. What are we? Oh, we should first recite the Shikṣāṣṭaka. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm a bit distracted today. I was doing something else before we started. Okay. Śrī Śikṣāṣṭaka. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam Vidyavadhu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam Purnamrita swadanam Sarvatma snapanam parang vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Me Drishamiha Janinanuraga Trinarapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Na dhanam na janang na sundaring Kavitam va jagarisha kamaye Mama janmani janmanishvare Bhavatar bhaktir ahaituki tvaye Ainandatanu jakinkarang Patitang mam vishame bhavam bhudo Kripaya tava para pankaja Stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya Nayanam galarashudharaya Vadanam gadgadarudaya gira Pulakarnichitang vapukada Tava nama grahane bhavishyati Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishayitam Shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name Ashlishavapararitang pinashtumam Adarshanan marma hatam kurotu va Yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato Mat prananatastu sa eva naparam. So let's read the translation for the first verse. Shri Krishna Sankirtan cleanses the mirror of the heart. Shri Krishna Sankirtan extinguishes the blazing forest fire of material existence. and it diffuses the moonbeams of Bhav upon the white lotus of good fortune, causing it to bloom. Shri Krishna Sankirtan is the life and soul of Vidya Devi, the goddess of transcendental knowledge, who is his consort. Shri Krishna Sankirtan increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, causes the soul to relish complete nectar at every step, and enables one to be fully bathed, purified, and soothed, inside and out. Let there be supreme victory for the congregational chanting of Shri Krishna's holy names. Maybe let's sing the kirtan one more time. Okay. This time I'm going to sing it in the morning tune. Yesterday I sang it in the evening tune because a lot of people watching, maybe the majority of the people watching, are on the other side of the world. And so it was evening time, but today I'll sing morning one. Apitavarana Kali Apavana Gora Gawai Aichana Bhava Vibhora Achita Darpana Pari Marjana Kori. Sorry. Okay. Achita Darpana Pari Marjana Kari Krishna Kirtana Jai Chitta Vihari Hela Bhava Hela Bhava Davani Vapana Vriti Krishna Kirtana Jai Klesha Nivriti Ashreya Kumuda Vidhu Jyotsna Prakasha Krishna Kirtana Jai Bhakti Vilasa Vishuddha Vidyavado Jivana Rupa Krishna Kirtana Jai Siddha Swarupa Ananda Payonidhi Vardhana Kirti Krishna Kirtana Jai Plavana Murti Pore Pore Piyusha Swada Pradata Krishna Kirtana Jai Prema Vidhata Bhakti Vinora Swatma Snapana Vidhana Krishna Kirtana Jai Prema Nidana Apita Varana Kali Pavana Gora Gawai Aichana Bhava Vibhora Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Krishna Sankirtan Ki Jai. One thing I didn't actually look at very, I didn't look at very carefully. But see in this song, it's just like when we're singing it now, it's just, actually, all these different things. Jai Chitta Vihari, Jai Kleshana Vritti, Jai Bhakti Vilas, Jai Siddha Swarup, Jai Plavana Murti, Jai Prema Vidhata, Jai Prema Nidan. These all very beautifully connect to the function, like the result, these 7 different results of Sankirtan. 1 second, let me just put this rhythm down. Oh, and Haribo Vidyalala Sadiri. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not in a position to, I've never even really, like, I didn't go so deep into this kirtan. And so I'm not really in a position to speak about it. But just when we're singing now, I was thinking, like, so Chitta Darpana Parimarjanakari. So this Sri Krishna Sankirtan, it Parimarjanakari. It is the cleanser of the mirror, the Darpan of the Chitta, of the heart. And so all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, which is the Chitta Vihari, which is the delighter of one's heart and soul, that very heart. Because through that Krishna Kirtan, then it cleanses the mirror of the heart, and then one's able to see oneself, like who one really is. And the first thing that we understand is that we're the servant of Krishna. That's the first thing and along with realization of the self, you realize Bhagavan. Like both happen simultaneously. Realization of the self and the super self, or like the supreme Lord. Like that's Sambandha Gyan, right? And so therefore it's the Chitta Vihari, what delights the soul more than finally realizing what its constitutional position is as a servant of Krishna. So that's why it's Chitta Vihari. And then Hela Bhavadava Nirvapana Vritti. I'm actually not so sure about this word Hela here, if it means chanted indifferently. It might though, because that refers to Namabhas. So even through Namabhas, it extinguishes the forest fire of material existence. And just yesterday, I was working on a song by Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. The whole song is about Klesh. It's in Kalyana Kalpataru, the last song. Yeah, the last song in the Anutap section in what is it? The Upalabdhi, the middle section of and so it's a whole song just about Klesh, and it goes through the Panch Klesh, the 5 different types of suffering. And so this Krishna Kirtan it ends all suffering. It's the ender of all suffering. And so yeah, okay. Anyhow, sorry, I don't want to spend too much time. And then Shreya Kumuda Vidu Jyotsna Prakash. So Prakash, it manifests, it illuminates the rays of the moon, Vidhu. Um, and 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 those rays of the moon touch the kumud, the the white lotus or white lily of Shreya in the heart. And yesterday we read about Shreya and Priya, right? We're going to read about that again today, actually. Yeah, so, but yeah, there's a very, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura explains this very beautifully. We'll hear at the very end of the reading. Um, so Jaya Bhakti Vilas. That's, I'm wondering, what does Bhakti Vilas, how does that relate to the Shreya Kumoda Vidu Jyotsna Prakash? That's something, if anybody, it's the loving pastime of bhakti, or it's the vilas of bhakti, bhakti vilas. If anybody has any insight into that, please share with me. And maybe when we're reading Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's commentary at the very end, if we maybe this will become clear through some words that he says. Okay, then Vishuddha Vidyavadu Jivanarup Krishna Kirtana Jai Siddha Swarup. So this Krishna Kirtan, it is the life, it is the Jivanurup, it is the life of Vidyavadhu, of the bride or the consort of Nam Vidya, Vidya Devi, which is transcendental knowledge. Vishuddha Vidya Devi. Right? There's two types of Vidya. There's material knowledge and there's spiritual knowledge. But this is a spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge, not just of Vaikuntha, but of Goloka Vrindavan as well. And so Jai Siddha Swarup. So all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, which is Siddha Swarup. I'm wondering also, isn't, I have to get the Bhajana-rahasya chart, but isn't this one like this facet related to asakti in the progression, in the stages of, um, is it asakti or ruchi? I think it's asakti. And if I remember correctly, asakti is a stage where you start to see your siddha swarup. You start to see what who you actually are in perfection. You start to even see the details of your form and your moods, your services, all that kind of, like, you know, the ekadash bhavs starts at asakti. And so maybe that's also why he's saying Jai Siddha Swarup. It's the embodiment of perfection, and it's when you see your Swarup. um, and then Ananda Payonidhi Vardhana Kirti. So it increases, it's glorified for increasing the ocean of Ananda. And so Krishna Kirtana Jai, Plavana Murti. All glories to Krishna Kirtan, which is the embodiment of the flood of prem. You know, just this flood happens, and then it starts, this ocean of ananda starts to increase, just like in yeah, anandam buddhivardhanaika nipano kaivalya nistarako. Anandam buddhivardhanaika nipano. Anyways, sorry. Okay, then pade pade piyusha swada pradata. Pade pade, at every step. Now this is the stage of prem. So this Ananda Payonidhi Vardhana Kirti is bhav, and then finally pade pade piyusha swada pradata is at the stage of prem. That's the result you get at the stage of prem. It's so at every step, this Krishna Sankirtan pradata, it bestows swada piyusha. It bestows relish or taste of complete nectar, piyush. And this is the stage of prem. So that's why it says Jai Prema Vidhata. Finally, you have love for the Supreme Lord, for the Vidhata, pure love of God. Then Bhakti Vinod Satma Snapana Vidhan Krishna Kirtana Jai Prema Nidan. So all glories to Shri Krishna Kirtan, which bathes the soul of Bhakti Vinod and which is the root cause of prem, Prema Nidan. Yeah, I haven't even begun to understand how deep each one of these are and like the explanations and everything. Um, just like, uh, yeah, we need to go over this again. Maybe, anyways, okay. So now we are going to read Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's Bhajan-rahasya verses. Are the Praman Mala. Is that what it said? Praman Shlokavali. So these are all the verses which um, establish, which substantiate um, each one of these results of Krishna Kirtan. Okay. Oh, and Haribo Krishna Mai Didi. Okay, so Cheto Darpana Marjanam. In material existence, the heart is covered by attachment for mundane enjoyment, offensive conduct, lust, anger, greed, intoxication, illusion, and envy. The mirror of the heart is cleansed from all these impurities by the chanting of the Lord's holy names. This is possible because the holy name is eternal, fully cognizant, and spiritually blissful. It is Satchid Ananda, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Śrī Namashtak, verse 7, taken from Stavamala. Sudita Shita Janarti Rashaye Ramyachir Ghana Saruk Suk sorry Ramyachir Ghana Sukha Swarupine Nama Gokula Mahotsavayate Krishna Purna Vapushe Namo Namo. O holy name, O Krishna, you destroy all sufferings arising from offenses committed unto you. You destroy all the sufferings of those who have taken shelter of you. You are the form of supreme beauty, concentrated consciousness, and spiritual happiness. And you are the embodiment of bliss for the residents of Gokul. You're the embodiment of bliss for the gopas, the gopis, the cows, calves, and all other life forms of Gokul. And it doesn't just say you're the embodiment of bliss, it says you are the Mahotsav. You are the great joyous festival of bliss for all the residents of Gokul. Therefore, I offer repeated obeisances unto you, who are the personification of the complete manifestation of Vaikuntha. Okay, now, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. The blazing forest fire of material existence in the form of repeated birth and death, and the threefold miseries arising thereof, is effortlessly extinguished by performing a Nam Sankirtan. This is confirmed in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.371, quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam 6.2.46. Nata parang karma nibandha krintanam mumukshatam tirtapadanu kirtanat nayat puna karma susajjate mano rajastamobhyam kalilam tatunyata. Sorry, I don't know why it said this verse in a weird way. Anyways, therefore, for persons desiring release from material bondage, there is no method superior to the chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Lord, at whose feet all the places of pilgrimage reside. Such chanting destroys the root cause of sinful activity. Consequently, by the performance of Nam Sankirtan, one will never again become implicated in fruitive activities and karma kanda. This is not the case, however, with material methods of atonement, because even after such performances, the heart again becomes contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. So people will try all sorts of things to make up for something bad they did, but they're all not very effective because they're just temporary. You might make up for it for now, but then you're not removing the tendencies for doing those things. And so only Harinam, completely at the very root, purifies the inclinations and bad proclivities and everything, and destroys the. It's the best atonement. Okay. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Oh, and Hare Krishna Sharmaji and Gargarajji. Hare Krishna. Okay. The holy name of Sri Krishna emits nectarian rays that cause the white lily of supreme fortune to bloom. Actually, a name for the moon in Sanskrit, there's a few names that are all related to how the moon emits nectar, like Sudakar. Um, what are some other ones? Anyways, there are many names like that for the moon. And it says that the moon, yeah, emits nectar. So Sri Krishna emits nectarian rays, the holy name of Krishna, that emits a nectarian rays that cause the white lily of supreme fortune to bloom. As the moon, by its rays, causes the white lilies to blossom and become very fragrant, the holy name, by the transmission of its potency, causes all kinds of good fortune to arise for the jivas. The following verse from the Prabhas Khanda of the Skanda Puran has been cited as evidence of this in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.451. Madhura madhuram itan mangalang mangalanam sakala nigama valli satvalang chit swarupam sakridapi parigitam shraddhaya helayava bhriguvara naramatram tarayet krishna nama. Of all that is auspicious, the holy name of Sri Krishna stands supreme. Of all that is sweet, the holy name is sweeter still. It is the eternal spiritual fruit of the wish-fulfilling tree of the entire Vedas, and the embodiment of the absolute truth endowed with full consciousness. O best of the Bhrigus, if anyone even once chants the holy name of Lord Krishna, either with faith or indifferently, the holy name delivers him from the ocean of material existence. And then my Srila Gurudev, he gives a comment on this. He says, in his Dig Darshini commentary on the verse above, Srila Sanatana Goswami has explained that the word Chit Swarupam means Chaitanya Brahma Swarupam. This means that the holy name is the embodiment of that Brahman which is endowed with full consciousness. In other words, the holy name is identical with the Supreme Lord himself. The word Sakrid Api mean that if the holy name is chanted even once, everything, even up to liberation, follows as a necessary result. Sanatana Goswami emphasizes this point by using the imperative form, bhavit, meaning that it must be so. He says that the suffix pari in Parigitam indicates that even if the holy name is uttered indistinctly or incompletely, it will deliver such a result. And now so many people are chanting Harinam who don't know proper pronunciation, like people from different countries, and all their different accents and everything. But it doesn't matter. If it's chanted indistinctly or incompletely, still it will deliver such a result. The suffix pari alters the meaning of the words in many different ways. It expresses the following ideas. So pari can mean in parigitam. So if it's chanted, uttered indistinctly or incompletely, these are other meanings of that, parigitam. It expresses against, opposite to, away from, except, roundabout, abundantly, richly, in a high degree, and so on. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada has interpreted the word pari in a different sense. He takes it in the sense of distinctly or fully, meaning that the holy name should be chanted without offense. If the holy name is chanted in this way, it will immediately deliver the chanter. And that's the end of the comment from my Gurudev. So it should be chanted without offense. Okay, now Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. That's the beautiful thing with all these Sanskrit verses. There are multiple meanings that are all so deep. And so that's why these verses are like sutras. You can, from that word parigitam, you can understand it to mean even if it's chanted not imperfectly, without proper pronunciation or incompletely or like that, it still gives its result. And then it could also mean if it is chanted fully, completely, without offense. Okay. Vidya Vadu Jivanam. The holy name is the life of all transcendental knowledge, which is here compared to a wife. This is supported in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.441, quoting from the Garuda Puran. Yadichasi, what's that? I don't know what that's supposed to be. Yadichasi parogyanam gyanaryat paramang padang tadadarena rajendra guru govinda kirtanam. O best of kings, if you desire to obtain that topmost knowledge by which the Supreme Soul is attained, then with great respect and devotion, chant the holy name of Sri Govinda. So now here's a comment from my Srila Gurudev. He says, in his Digdarshini commentary on this verse, Srila Sanatana Goswami explains that the word jnanam here refers to knowledge concerning the glories of the topmost Bhagavad Bhakti. By chanting the holy name of Govinda, one easily obtains such knowledge, and consequently, the supreme destination known as Parang Padam. Parang Padam does not refer to impersonal liberation. Beyond Brahman, beyond Vaikuntha, beyond even Ayodhya and Mathura, the attainment of the service of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna in Vraj is what is here referred to as Parang Padam. That is the very topmost position, situation. The fruit is obtained by chanting the name of Govinda, not by any ordinary knowledge. Okay, so then that's the end of my Gurudev's comment on that. Now, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura says, it is further stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.540. It needs. Oh, sorry. I'm reading this is what was sent to the printers, and so it says needs more space between the verse. Okay, that's just a note for the layout person. Okay, so it's further stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Dhatur yad asmin bhava isha jivas tapa trayena bhihata nasharma atman labhante bhagavang stavangri chayam savidyam ata ashrayema. O maintainer of the universe, O Lord, in this material world, the living entities who disregard the Lord are always overwhelmed by the threefold miseries, adhyatmika, adibhautika, and adidaivika. Thus, they are unable to find any happiness or peace. Therefore, O Bhagavan, in full knowledge, we are taking shelter of the shade of your lotus feet. And now, short comment from my Srila Gurudev. He says, the word savidyam, with full knowledge, mean with bhakti. Out of all types of knowledge, bhakti is the best, because by it, Bhagavan becomes known. Actually, Srila Ramanujacharya, he explains that bhakti is a type of knowledge. He says that gyan refers to bhakti. Usually we think of, like, Srila Jiva Goswami, he took the meaning of gyan from like what the Shankaracharya established as gyan, which means impersonal knowledge. Usually that's what Srila Jiva Goswami, when he wrote the Sandarbhas, he took that meaning of gyan. Actually, Sundar Gopal Prabhu wrote a very interesting article on it's called Braikalaj. Anyways, maybe we could go through it sometime. I'd have to get his permission first, but it's very interesting how Srila Jiva Goswami took from different traditions. Like, he took from Madhvacharya, from Ramanujacharya, from all the four sampradayas, and also he took things from the different schools of he took some things from Nyaya, Mimamsa, all different schools of thought, and he weaves them all together to establish our Gaudiya Siddhanta. And that's what the Sandarbhas is. He's taking from all different places and weaving them all together and showing what is our Gaudiya Siddhanta. So he's pulling from so many different places. But when it comes to the terminology, most of our terminology is the same as what Shankaracharya established. Like today's his appearance day, and so when we say gyan, usually we think of it as impersonal knowledge. But Ramanujacharya, when he says gyan, he says no, gyan refers to a special type of bhakti. It refers to bhakti as a type of gyan, which gives realization, which gives knowledge of who I am, who the Lord is, like that. Whenever he uses the word gyan, it means bhakti. So out of all types of knowledge, bhakti is the best because by it, Bhagavan becomes known. Okay, now Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura again. He says, in Srimad Bhagavatam 4:29-49, it is stated, Savidyatan matir yaya. That by which one's attention is concentrated upon the Supreme Lord is called Vidya. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura has composed 2 verses in this connection, explaining how the holy name of Krishna is the life of such knowledge. So this is from Bhajana-rahasya 1:21. Jai Shakti Te Krishne Mati Kore Urbhavan Vidya Name She Kore Avidya Khandan Krishna Nama She Vidya Vadhur Jivan Krishna Para Parme Je Koro Ye Sthirman. So the meaning is that potency by which one's intelligence is aroused towards Sri Krishna is known as Vidya. Only by bhakti can one's attention be drawn upon the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Therefore, the knowledge being referred to here is bhakti. This knowledge dissipates ignorance. The holy name of Sri Krishna is the life of transcendental knowledge, by which the consciousness becomes firmly situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, and one is engaged in the service of his lotus feet. So Vidyalala Sadidi, this is like a very deep explanation of your name, right? Vidyalalasa is like Bhakti Lalasa. Okay, Anandam Buddhivardhanam. Nam Kirtan expands the ocean of transcendental bliss within the heart. As it is stated in Hari Bhakti Vilas 10:193, quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam 8:320, it says, Ekantino yasya nakanchanartham vanchanti yevai bhagavat prapanna atyadbhutam tach charitam sumangalam gayanta ananda samudramagna. Devotees who are fully and exclusively surrendered unto the Lord become immersed in the ocean of bliss by chanting and reciting his transcendental pastimes, which are astonishing and supremely auspicious. They have no desire other than to obtain the lotus feet of Bhagavan. I pray unto that Supreme Brahman, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, now, Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. When the mirror of the heart is cleansed by chanting the holy name of the Lord, then all types of good fortune arise for the chanter. Thereafter, he attains perception of his constitutional identity. For one who chants the holy name in that stage of attainment, the ocean of transcendental bliss is enlarged, and he tastes complete nectar in newer and newer varieties at every step. Comment from my Srila Gurudev. An ordinary conditioned soul will not experience spiritual pleasure when he chants the holy name. When, however, one chants the holy name according to this process, in other words, after having freed oneself from all impediments to his devotion, all anarthas, and having realized one's eternal identity, one's swarup, one then chants the holy name with love and spiritual emotion, bhav. And at that point, that's when he will taste the nectar of the name at every step. Okay, now Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura again. He says, it is therefore said in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11:504, quoting from the Padma Puran, Tebhyo namostu bhavavardi varidhi jirna panka Samagna mokshana vichakshana padukebhya Krishneti varna yugalam shravanena yesham Anandatur bhavati nirtitaroma vrinda. I offer my respectful obeisances again and again onto the sandals of the lotus feet of that person whose heart trembles with bliss upon chanting and hearing the holy name of Sri Krishna, whose bodily hairs stand on end and dance due to ecstasy, and who is expert in delivering the conditioned souls who are sunk in the mud of the ocean of material existence. Jai, that's a beautiful verse, huh? That's from the Padma Purana. Doesn't even just offer pranams to the feet of that person who's chanting and undergoing all these transformations, but he's paying obeisances again and again to the sandals of that person. Okay. Now, sarvatma snapanam. The self is thoroughly cleansed by bathing in the holy name, as it is stated in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.359, quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam 12.12.48. Sankirtyamano Bhagavan Ananta Shrutanubhavo Vyasanang hi pungsam Pravishya chittang vidunotya sheshang Yatha tamurko Brahm ivativata. By describing the transcendental characteristics or pastimes of Bhagavan Sri Hari, or by hearing of his glories, that Supreme Lord Sri Krishna enters within the heart as Harikatha and drives away all ignorance, exactly as the sun drives away darkness. And as a powerful wind blows away a mass of clouds, the hearing of narrations of the Lord's pastimes eradicates all the sufferings of material existence. The ignorance referred to here means the various contaminations of the heart, such as anarthas and aparads. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura has composed the following Bengali verses in this connection. This is from Bhajana-rahasya 124. Shrutayānubhutta jata anartha samyog Shri Krishna kirtane sab hoy tabiyog Jai Rupa Vayute Megha Surjatamanaše Chitte Praveshiya Dosha Ashesha Vinashe Krishna Namashaye Chitta Darpana Marjan Ati Shighra Labhe Jeev Krishna Premadhan. All varieties of anartha that have ever been heard of or experienced, every single kind of anartha you can possibly think of, everything is destroyed by chanting the holy name of Sri Krishna. As the wind disperses the clouds, or as the sun dissipates the darkness, the Supreme Lord, through the medium of hearing narrations of his transcendental pastimes, enters the heart and completely destroys the extensive material contamination. By taking shelter of the name of Sri Krishna, the mirror of the heart is cleansed, and very quickly the living entity attains the treasure of love for him. Krishna Prem. And Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura says, the holy name of Sri Krishna is Chaitanya. It is fully conscious. And it is the personification of madhurya, of sweetness, and of transcendental ras. As stated in the Namashtak, the last verse, the song Narad Muni Bhajai Vina, which we just sang last night, is based on this verse here. So, Narad Vino Jivana Sudhormi Niryasa Madhuri Pura Tvam Krishna Nama Kamang Spurame Rasane Rasena Sada. O holy name of Krishna. Okay, sorry. There's a note from the editor. Okay, O holy name of Krishna. You are the life support of Sri Narad's Veena. You are the crest upon the waves of nectar arising from the ocean of sweetness. May you, by your sweet will, always appear very prominently on my tongue, accompanied by great attachment. The holy name is worshipful, particularly for liberated persons. Simply by namabhas, a semblance of pure chanting, all misery and distress are dissipated, as stated in the Namashtaka verse 2. Jaya Namadeya Muni Vrindageya Janaranjanaya Paramakshara Krite Tamanadarapi Managudiritam Nikilo Gratapa Patalim Vilumpasi. O Namadeya, O Krishna appearing in the form of the holy name. Great sages such as Narad and others, they constantly chant your glories. For the delight of all humanity, you have appeared in the form of transcendental syllables. Although you are directly the Supreme Brahman, Sri Krishna himself, you appear in the form of syllables for the benefit of people in general. Even if one chants the holy name of the Lord indifferently, or in other words, with the four kinds of namabhas, that means what are the four kinds of namabhas? To indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or neglectfully. So even if one chants your names indifferently in these four ways, the holy name is competent to destroy the most grievous sins and thus nullify all severe material afflictions. Therefore, O holy name, I think it would be a good idea. Oh, sorry. I almost read the editor's note. O holy name, um, may there be all victory unto you. Sorry about that. Okay, it is therefore stated in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda 23, verses 76 to 78. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhu kohi laya e maha mantra, iha japa giya sabe koriya nirbandha, iha hoite sarva siddhi, oibe sabar, sarvakhan bolo ite vidhi nahi ar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I have spoken this maha mantra. Now all of you return home and perform japa and kirtan of the holy name with great love and faith, keeping track of the numbers of rounds you chant. By this practice, all types of perfection will arise. Always chant the holy name, for there are no rules and regulations regarding its performance. At every moment, utter this Maha Mantra. And you'll see many different Gaudiya mats and are just different kirtan groups during Navadip Parikrama. They'll sing the Mahamantra, and then lots of times they'll just break into these two verses here. Prabhu kohe kohilaya e Mahamantra iha japa giya shabe koriya nirbandha. We're going to add this into the Gaudiya Giti Gucha, these verses here. But yeah, these are nice to memorize for singing on Nagar Sankirtan. All right, so that is our reading for today. It's now 8 o'clock, perfect timing. Tomorrow we will read the commentary of Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and maybe something from Śrīla Bhakti Puri Goswami Maharaj, and I'll find what else. Indira Mataji was also suggesting we can read from Bhajana-rahasya about like there's the chart and it explains there's the yam kirtans, right? The kirtans that you sing throughout the 8 time periods of the day, which all corresponds to the different parts of the first verse of first verse of Śikṣāṣṭakam, and also the remaining 7 verses. They all relate. The different stages. I'll try to find a good quality version of the chart, and we can look at the chart, and we can look at the Bhajan-rahasya, the pastime of Krishna during that part of the day, and all that. Also, yesterday, Revati Didi, who glorified Śrīla Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj that day, she just sent me a playlist of Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat singing all these Śikṣāṣṭakam songs and the Yam Kirtans. So I'll share that in our WhatsApp group afterwards. All right, so I'll sing short Mahamantra, Jayadvani, and then for anybody who wants to stay longer, I'm going to read the Bengali and translations of the Bengali of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's commentary, the Samodad Bhashya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishta Jai, Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swapa Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gan Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna, Shri Chaitanya Śikṣāṣṭaka Ki Jai. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's Sanmodan Bhashya Ki Jai. Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada's Vivritti Ki Jai. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's Gītavali and Bhajana-rahasya Ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankir, Shri Krishna Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyai Keshavashacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Sattvatai Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta, Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Rukmini Didi, Krishna Mai Didi, Guru Nishta Prabhu, Vidya Lalasa Didi, Shah Sharma Ji, Gargaraj Ji, Indira Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Ganga Mataji, and I don't know who else is there. If you write a comment, I'll see your name. Also pranams to all the devotees watching in the future. Haribol. All right, so for those of you who want to stick around longer, I'm going to now read the Bengali and translations of the Sanmodan Bhashya. Actually, Sammodan Bhashya was written in Sanskrit, so this is a Bengali translation of the Sanskrit. But Bengali and Sanskrit are so similar, like so close. So usually the translation of Bengali of Sanskrit things is very, yeah, it's like very similar. In English, we have to change it a lot. But with Bengali, you just have to add in some like verbs and things here and there. So, okay. So yesterday we read the first half of this Sanmodan Bhashya. Now, where did we leave off? I think a keyword I can type. We left when he started explaining Cheto Dharpanamajana, right here. Okay, so yesterday this is how it ended. And just recapping. So the miseries of material existence belong only to those jivas controlled by Maya. When, due to connection with the Swarup Shakti, Maya disappears, then its material existence is destroyed, and it becomes situated in its own constitutional position. After souls bewildered by illusion repeatedly experience the troubles of material existence, when after that, from genuine association with sadhus, so genuine association with sadhus, real sadhu sangha, not just being physically next to them like a fly, but actually trying to follow them, being in jatartha sangha, genuine association, then faith in the purport of the scripture, or even better, intense longing for the sweetness of Bhagavan arises. Then that person attains eligibility for bhakti, which is the essential function of the Hladini aspect of the Swarup Shakti. At that time, through the Shraddha thus born, by the influence of satsanga in the form of taking shelter of the Guru's feet and hearing topics concerning the absolute truth. Then that's when Actual hearing of topics concerning the absolute truth occurs. So it happens after Shraddha is born and one's in satsanga and taking shelter of Guru's feet. Then one's able to hear the Tattva Katha. When, after hearing, chanting of that which you heard takes place, then the prowess of the jiva's constitutional nature in the form of the process of subduing Maya is observed. And that subduing of Maya, after having, when doing kirtan of what you've heard from the lotus lips of Sri Guru, then the power of that, the prowess, the vikram of the jiva swarup, of being, you become more established that I am a servant of Krishna, and you become so, like, you realize that truly, and then that's how you subdue Maya, and that is the meaning of param vijayate, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. See, this is the process of Hari Kirtan's victory in this world, the Vijay, param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So that's what we ended with yesterday. And now we're continuing on. A prakar Krishna Kirtan hoite, jiver sapta prakar fal siddhio, cheto darpana marjanam ityadi dwara pradarshita hoyache. In this manner, the attainment of 7 kinds of perfection for the living entity, resulting from Krishna Kirtan, has also been demonstrated by the words cheto darpana marjanam and so forth, and all the other ones. She shakali pratak pratak bhave vichar koribo. We shall analyze all these separately. Pratak pratak bhave. Lots of times the word bhabe, when you see bhabe, it's like in English, it's like a ly. So pratak pratak means separate. Pratak pratak. And then Bengali is such a beautiful language. It's what is it called? There's a term for it. It's like shabdatmik, I think. It's so many of the words, the sounds of the words will indicate something. It's like a very, what is the word? Onomatopoeia? Like splash, splash, the word splash. You can hear the water going. And so all the words in Bengali, so many words of Bengali are like that. No, dwanatmik shabda. I think that's what the term is. Dwanatmik shabda. So pratak, pratak, you can really get a feeling of separate. Pratak, pratak. So yeah, so many of the words of Bengali are like that. And then the bhabe means li. So pratak pratak bhabe means separate, bhabe, li, separately. So we shall analyze all of these separately. Pratamata cheto darpana marjanam ityadi dwara jiver sarup tattva vibritta hoyache. Firstly, through cheto darpana marjanam, etc., and all the other ones, the truth of the living entity's constitutional nature, the jiva's sarup tattva, has been described. She Bishaye, Srila Jiva Goswami Par bolen, Jiva namak samashti shakti vishishta parama tattver eka angshi jiva. Regarding this subject, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad states, the jiva is but one part. Angshoy, sorry, I said angshi. Angshoy, jiva. So the jiva is but one part of the supreme truth. He's one part of the Paramatattva. That Paramatattva, which is characterized by the collective energy, the samashti shakti, known as the jiva. I'm just curious, what is samashti shakti? Does that refer to the antaranga, tatashta, and bahiranga shakti? And so the jiva is just one part of his samashti shakti, all of his shaktis, which is the tatashta shakti. That's what I'm guessing. Anyhow. But I have to look up that word term, samashti shakti, because that seems like a very... okay. So, Tejo Mandaler bahirgami rashmi paramanur nyay. Jiva she keval param chid ras vastu bahirgami chit paramanu vishesh. Like an atomic particle of a ray emanating from the effulgent solar orb, the jiva is a specific atomic particle of consciousness, chit paramanu vishesh, emanating from that substance which is pure supreme conscious ras. Actually, would it be helpful if we read the English first and then read the Bengali, so then we know what we were reading? I think that might be better. Let's try doing it like that. Okay. So the Vedanta commentator Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Prabhu also states this. Vedanta Bhashyakar Srimad Baladev Vijibhushan Prabhu O Taha Bolen. Yeah, this is a better way of doing it. Okay, so I should have done this yesterday. Ishwar is all-pervading consciousness. He is Vibhu Chaitanya. And the jiva is atomic consciousness, Anu Chaitanya. In both cases, the possession of qualities like knowledge, etc., and being denoted by the term I are eternal. So even though the Lord is all-pervading consciousness and the jiva is atomic consciousness, still they both have these qualities like knowledge of being a knower, and also they're denoted by the term I. They have ahankta, right? So Ishvar Vibhu Chaitanya, jiva Anu Chaitanya. Ubhoy Ketre, in both cases, Gyanadi Guna Juktatva o Ahang Padavachatva Nitya. Just as the quality of illumination of the sun's light is not contradictory to the sun being the illuminator, similarly, the quality of being the knower, Gatritva, inherent in knowledge, is not contradictory to the self being the knower. So, Shurjer Prakashir Prakashakatva Guner Nyay Gyanero Gatritva Viruddha Nahe. So, I'm guessing this is kind of means like, just like there's no difference between there's the sun and then the sunlight. They're inseparable. They're not contradictory. They're one thing, even though they're different, but they're one thing. And also knowledge and being the knower of that knowledge, they aren't contradictory. They go together. They're abhed kind of. So tan madhye, arthat Ishwar or Jiva. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the English first. Between them, i.e., between Ishwar and the Jiva, Ishwar is independent. Okay, so even though they're non-different, here's the difference. Ishwar is independent. He's swatantra, and he possesses the internal potency, the Swarup Shakti. He is the possessor of the Swarup Shakti, and he sustains the universe by the principles of entering within the universe, anupravesh, and regulating niyaman within prakriti, material nature, etc. So the jiva is not the regulator of the material energy and like that. No. And the jiva is not swatantra. He doesn't have swarup. Well, there's some kind of swatantra, right? But it's different. And then there's swarup shakti. He's not the possessor. Okay, anyways, let's see the Bengali. Tan madhye, arthat Ishwar o jiva madhye, Ishwar swatantra o swarup shaktiman. Evam प्रकृति प्रवृत्ति मध्ये तिनि अनुप्रवेश और नियमन विधि द्वारा जगत धारण करें. So Jiva has these to like a very minute degree, but Krishna has them fully, right? And oh, actually, I don't know. I'm gonna shut up. No, because the jiva is not the regulator. No, he does. Sorry, just scratch everything I just said. Okay, so a particular ras revealed through the suggestive function, the Vyanjana vritti of bhakti, bestows the form of spiritual bliss. I don't actually understand this sentence here. A particular ras revealed through the suggestive function of bhakti bestows the form of spiritual bliss. Anyways, Bhaktir Vyanjana Vritti Dwara Prakashita Ek Ras Chit Sukh Swarup Pradhan Kore. I need to look up this word Vyanjana Vritti. The living entities are of many types and are numerous. Jeev Gon Anek Prakar Evam Bahu. It is solely due to aversion towards the Supreme Lord that their conditioned state arises. And upon turning toward the Supreme Lord, the twofold bondage in the form of the covering over the jiva's constitutional nature and qualities ceases, and direct realization, sakshatkar, of that sarup, etc. occurs. Okay, so from vimukata, the Buddhadhasha arises. And from Parameshwar Abhimukhi, when he's turned towards the Lord, then the two types of bandhan, of bondage, is destroyed, it ceases, and there's direct realization of that, of the jiva. The jiva has direct realization of his surup. So let's see. Parameshwar prati vimukata vashatoi. Tahader baddha dasha evam parameshwar abhimukhi hoile jiver swarup o guner avaran rup je dvida bandhan tahar nivritti hoy evam tat swarupadir sakshatkar ghate. By this, the jiva's atomic nature, anutva, its nature as pure consciousness, and its characteristic possession of a pure ego, pure consciousness, pure mind, purified heart, and pure body are indicated. And due to aversion to the Lord, and being overcome by the influence of the external energy, the contamination of the jiva's pure consciousness, situated within the pure ego, by the impurity of ignorance, is also implied. Etadvara Jiver anutva, chit swarupatva, evam shuddha ahankar, shuddha chitta, o shuddha deha vishishtatva, gyapita hoilo. Evam isha vimukata vashata, o bahiranga bhav dwara, avishtata hetu, jiver shuddha ahankar gata, shuddha chitter avidya mal dwara dushan o shuchita hoilo. When the pure consciousness situated within the jiva's pure constitutional form is contaminated by the impurity of ignorance, which is a covering of Maya, then consequently the inability of the mirror of the consciousness to function properly occurs. Yes, when the impurity of ignorance is covering the mirror of the heart, then it's unable to perform its function of reflecting one's self. So, okay. Jiver shuddha swarupe je shuddha chitta tahate mayar avaran rup avidya mal dwara dushit hoile chitta darpaner karjer akamatai sutaram ghatiya thake. For that reason, an accurate vision of one's own swarup is not possible. Why? Because it's contaminated by the impurity of ignorance, which is a covering of Maya. So, she karane nija swaruper jathartha darshan sambhav hoy na. One can't have darshan of one's swarup in a dirty mirror. Kintu, however, when bhakti, which is the essential function, when bhakti, which is the essential function of the Hladini potency, is set in motion, then Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which follows hearing, manifests and removes all impurities of ignorance. Kintu, jokon Hladini sar vritti bhuta bhakti pravartita hoy, tokon श्रवणांतर जे श्री कृष्ण संकीर्तन ताहा आविर्भूत होया सकल अविद्या माल दूर करे. I actually prefer reading the Bengali first and then reading the English translation. But I think this might be more helpful, right? Anyways. Okay, at that time, the pure consciousness becomes manifest. The jiva becomes endowed with pure ego. And in the mirror of their own consciousness, they perceive accurately the five truths. What are those five truths? Ishvar, jiva, prakriti, kal, and karma. That's God, the soul, nature, time, and action. This is the import. A bhav. This is the import. Okay, so she সময় শুদ্ধ চিত্ত প্রকটিত হইয়া জীব শুদ্ধ অহংকার যুক্ত হন এবং তিনি নিজ চিত্ত দর্পণে ঈশ্বর জীব প্রকৃতি কাল ও কর্ম এই পঞ্চতত্ত্ব যথার্থ দর্শন করেন. Oh, sorry, যথাযথ দর্শন করেন. এই ভাব. Oops, there's a spelling mistake here. Oh, yeah, I see what happened here. Anyways, whatever. I'm going to skip this part here. So when the mirror of consciousness, the Chitta Darpan, is cleansed, when it's marjit, due to the accurate perception of the Sarup, the perception of one's inherent nature, or one's inherent duty, one's swadharma, also occurs. And what is that swadharma? Servitorship to the Lord, Bhagavad Dasya, is the jiva's swadharma. So automatically, when one perceives the self, they also perceive that I am a servant. That's my swadharma. When the perception of one's swadharma arises with the perception of one's swarup. Because that is your swarup, is being a servant of the Lord. And that's your swadharma, right? So, chitta darpana marjita hoile, swaruper jathartha darshan hetu, swadharmer darshano ghatya thake. Bhagavad Dasyai Jiver Swadharma. When one engages in that Bhagavad Dasya, the inclination towards material existence is then transformed into the inclination for Krishna service. So we still have an inclination, but the inclination is just transformed. It's not that we cease our inclination. It's just the inclination gets transformed. So tahate pravritti hoile sangsar pravritti tahate pravritta hoile sangsar pravritti tokon Krishna seva pravritti rupe parinata hoy. Parinata hoy. Parinata means transformed. Okay. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. That's extinguishing the great forest fire of material existence. So that was the explanation of Chitta Darpana Marjanam. Now the explanation of Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Bhava means the jiva's birth in the material world, prapancha. That itself is the greatest forest fire. Its extinguishment, its nirvapan, means that without Shri Krishna Sankirtan, nirvana, in other words, liberation from repeated birth and death, is not attained. A bhava. This is the import. So, bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. Bhava arthat jiver prapanche janma. Uhai mahadavagni vishesh. Tahar nirvapan arthat Shri Krishna vyatit nirvana. Puna puna janma grahan hoite paritran. Labh hoina. A bhava. Does Shri Krishna Kirtan conclude once knowledge of one's swadharma is attained? No. After the eternal nature of Hari Kirtan is established, the descriptor Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam is used to signify a constituent aspect of its inherent nature, its Sarup Gata Dharma. Right? Because by this Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvarpanam can refer even to the semblance of the name, destroys all one's material existence, one's suffering and everything. And at that point, you can just attain liberation, right? And so is that the conclusion of Sri Krishna Sankirtan, that it destroys all our suffering and then we become liberated and then there's no need for it anymore? No. Once the next part, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, shows that after you get to that stage, this is what happens. The positive aspects now comes into play. So Swadharma Gyan Labh hoile, Shri Krishna ki samapt hoya jai? Na. Hari Kirtaner Nitya Dharmatva Siddha hoile por তাহারি স্বরূপগত ধর্মের অঙ্গ বলিতে শ্রেয় কৈরব চন্দ্রিকা বিতারণম এই বিশেষণ ব্যবহৃত হইয়াছে. For souls bewildered by illusion, enjoyment offered by Maya Bhog, is what is immediately pleasing. That's what is priya. And therefore, their material existence is unavoidable. So now he's going to explain priya and shreya. That's how we can understand what is the Shreya Kairav. What is the white lotus of good fortune of Shreya? First, we have to understand its antonym, which is Priya, which is that which is immediately pleasing, but not ultimately beneficial to the self. And there's Shreya, which is the ultimate benefit for the self. So, Maya Mugda Jiva Ganir Nikot, Maya Bhogi Priya, that's Vanchita, desired. Evam She Hetu Tahader Sangsar Anivaraniya. Because the jiva is there's so much enjoyment offered by Maya, and that's what's immediately pleasing. So therefore, they just can't help but want that priya, what they want, what's immediately pleasing. And therefore, this material existence is unavoidable because of all this bhog that Maya offers us. However, becoming averse to that Maya and performing service to Sri Krishna is Shreya. That is the ultimate good for them. Okay, when we become averse to the bhog that Maya offers us, when we become averse to that priya, just to that immediate enjoyment that we get, then, and performing service to Sri Krishna, that is what is Shreya, the ultimate good for the jiva. Kintu ukta mayar prati vitrishna hoya, Sri Krishna seva korai, taha der janna Shreya. That Shreya is here compared to the Kairav, or the white water lily, the Kumuda. Shri Krishna Kirtan, like the moon, distributes the moonlight, the Chandrika or Jyotsna, in the form of bhav, which causes it to blossom. Shei Shreyai Estale Kairav, Arthat Kumud Tulya. Uhar Prakashika Je Bhav Rup Chandrika Jyotsna, Tahai Shri Krishna Kirtan Rup Chandra Vitaran Koren. According to the principle, bhakti arises from bhakti. That's bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya, right? Is that something like that? Bhakti dvara bhakti sanjat hoy. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.331. Through the performance of bhakti, through the jajan of bhakti, and its semblance stage, such as hearing and chanting, by those possessing faith, pure devotion manifests. Okay, so in other words, by the process of sadhan bhakti, which is not pure, it's an abhas, it's not pure bhakti, but still by the process of that sadhan bhakti, then shuddha bhakti manifests. Okay, so bhakti dvara bhakti sanjata hoy. That's that verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti sanjataya bhaktya. E nyaya anusare Shraddhavan Ganir Shravan Kirtanadir Abhyasrup Bhakti Jajan Dwara Shuddha Bhakti Avirbhuta Hon. So through the abhas of Shravan and Kirtan, so this performance of bhakti, of sadhan bhakti in other words, then Shuddha Bhakti Avirbhuta Hon. The comparison here with the moon is conceived in relation to the nectar, the amrita emanating from that moon. This is the import. এই স্থলে যে চন্দ্রের সহিত তুলনা হইয়াছে তাহা সেই চন্দ্র নিঃসৃত অমৃতের সহিত কল্পনা হেতু এই ভাব. Okay. Oh, I see it's 8:30 already. So maybe let's just finish this Shreya Kairava Chandrika section. And yeah, well, that will be short. So if one raises the initial objection, the Purva Paksha, when do individuals who have attained pure devotion attain their own constitutional form? When do they attain their own constitutional form? Those who have attained pure devotion. Considering this, Sri Gaurachandra says, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam, the life of the bride of knowledge. Okay. Jadi bolo, Shuddha Bhakti Labdha Vyaktigan Kokon Nija Swarup Labh Koren, to a Purva Pakke, what is that? Akalan Korea, Sri Gaurachandra Bolitechen, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. What's Akalan mean? I don't know that word. Akalan means drawing, attraction, collection, counting, calculation, credit. Huh. Here it just says considering. I mean, that the translation. Huh. Anyways, so then Gaurachandra says, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. And so that answers the question. When individuals who have attained pure devotion, when do they attain their own constitutional form, their Nija Swarup? And so that's answered by Vidya Vadhu Jivanam, which is why in this kirtan that we sing, it says Jai Siddha Swarup, right? Vishuddha Vidya Vadhu Jivana Rup, Krishna Kirtana Jai Siddha Swarup. All right. But I see it's 8:30, so we will end here and we'll continue reading this commentary. We'll finish this commentary tomorrow at the end of the program. We'll go through Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. All right, that's our program for today. All right, thank you so much for joining. Dhanavat Pranams, Niri Hari Prabhu, Krishna Mai Didi, and Hari Krishna Prabhu. And Janardhan Prabhu is here. He says, there's a shloka somewhere that says, Lord Chaitanya loves those who speak Bengali, something like that. Really? You find that, send it over to me. But there are very nice things that Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada said on learning Bengali, and also Śrīla Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj, and our different acharyas. They speak about how important it is to, or how, how you can't fully understand it through translation, the beauty of what Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote. And then Śrīla Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj gives examples. I put it in my video for this the Bhaktivinoda Giti Dhara program, the introduction video. I gave a clip of Śrīla Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj explaining why it's important to go to the source language of Bengali. Then you can really see the sweetness. And also, I find it's a lot more things are a lot more clear, because in English there's like with Bengali, there's very specific terminology that we don't have in English. And so then when we translate things into English, we have to kind of explain it in a way, but it could, like, whereas in Bengali, there will be very specific words for things. In English, we'll just use the same word over and over again for different specific words. For example, okay, this is a famous example everybody always gives of like love, how there's so many different words for love. Pranay, there's sneha, there's priti, prem, and they all have their own flavors and nuances. But in English, we don't have all those, like we just translate all those words as love. And then there's words like swabhav, swarup, and that we always just translate that as nature, or the word dharma. I don't know. There's so many words that are very specific, but in English, it's just we lose it in our translation. So things become really clear when you like these different topics become really clear when you look at the original Bengali. And also like so much of like the culture and the way that people feel and think is so much represented by language. And so you start to understand things in a like you start to see things from a different perspective when you see it in original Bengali. It's I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's helpful, and it's not. It's the really exciting thing when you start learning Bengali. You see very significant improvement every time you study. Like it just you start to know more and more, and then that improvement, um, like things start to become more clear, and you start to it feels like a new superpower that you get, and just that in itself, you like the benefit that you see yourself getting is like the motivation to continue learning more and more and more if you actually like really start to delve into it. So yeah. All right. That's our program for today. See you all tomorrow.